Okay, so this is where we left off. When you fill this in, just to give you a little heads up as to what you're looking for to determine. This is why you can't say that this will ever be, if I was not giving you what the inheritance pattern is, this could not be an autosomal recessive affected person. If I was telling you, I'm not sure which one it is, and you had to guess, this is your key. These two people, if I said these were recessive, they could not have a child that's dominant. So it kind of eliminates that inheritance pattern. When you have to guess on your own or figure out clues, this is something you look for. You look for two people that have the same phenotype or the same shading pattern and a child that's opposite. You can guarantee that's really the clue you're looking for. This could not have been recessive and have a dominant opposite phenotype. It wouldn't work. So that's why when we do these in class, you'll be looking for that type of clue. The last of the three that you're going to look at is sex-linked recessive. So press pause, draw this under the sex-linked recessive pedigree area. And now we're back. The idea here is that we're going to have to first do the genotypes. Recall with sex-linked, you have to do the XX, XY. So that might be the first thing you do. You go through and you do XX where the females are, XY where the males are. So it's a little more tedious. All right. Hopefully I did that correctly. So now we've got to fill in the alleles. Remember, these are sex-linked. We assume X-linked. We don't do Y-linked. And I'm telling you that this is an X-linked or sex-linked recessive. So what does that automatically tell you? Every one of these persons that is shaded in has to have the recessive allele on its X chromosome. So for females, they inherit two X's, so they can get two recessives. The male recessive. So go to every one that's shaded, and on the X, please put a recessive. For the other version, the unshaded, the males are the easiest because males don't have the ability to be heterozygous, or in our words, carriers. They either have the X that has the affectedness, or they have the X that has the normal or the unaffected, the normal allele. So that's the next one that's probably easiest to fill in. So go to all the males, and they have to have the dominant allele. Okay? So that's all the males there. Females, because they're unshaded on these, guess what they have to have? They better have the dominant allele as well. They still have that second one, which we're not too sure about right now. We have to work forwards and backwards to see if we can determine. But they at least show us what one of them is. So in this case, we have, if you want to put the lines now, we're going to try and guess or figure out from deductive reasoning what the other allele would be on these X's. Alright, so we've got a few to figure out. So we look through and say, is there anything in this second generation which is going to help me identify what that second allele is? Unfortunately, at this point, there isn't anything that would be helpful. What would be helpful is if there was like this one. This female we don't know anything about, but we know that her son is affected. Guess this son, which got the X, he didn't get it from dad. Dad doesn't pass on an X to sons. Dad passes on Ys. So where did you get this X that had the recessive A on it? Only one option. To the female right here. So where did... That says that this female must have the recessive A on her X. So fill in a recessive A right there. We look here. We have an X with a big A, X with a we don't know yet. We look up at the previous. Dad, who passes an X on to her for every daughter, that's where she got the dominant A. Because guess what? The mom, who is homozygous recessive, only has recessive to pass on, who has not been, alright, has to have a recessive. So she has to be a carrier. Same reason, she has to be a carrier as well. Because mom had to pass on an X to her because the dad passed on the dominant. So the only other one we don't know is right here. For the same reason, we look up and say, let's look at the previous generation. The father was affected. So therefore, this recessive A had to have been passed on to any daughter. The dominant came down. So we're still, up here, we're unclear. So I'm just going to leave a circle there because that says, I looked, there's still not enough information. you can attribute this dominant could have come from here, the recessive here, dominant from here, the Y obviously came from father, dominant from here, recessive from here. There's nothing that screams that we have to identify what that one is, so it's an unknown at this point. If she had more children, or if we looked at her parents, we might be able to figure it out. So for today's lesson, it was just me giving you examples. In class, I might throw some other ones out, and you look for examples in here that pin it down as to why it has to be an autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, or sex-linked recessive. Okay? Until then, hopefully you understood that, and we'll be good to go for tomorrow. See you then.